All right, what I'm going to be doing in this video here is going over the ultimate email flow system that we've used to generate over $51 million for our e-commerce clients. All right, and what went into that is the optimizations that we've compiled over the past few years, especially with the 8-figure brands that we work with who are spending tons of money on ads. It gives us a lot of sort of customer data to see what really works. So I'm going to be sharing with you the optimal email for each flow, how to set up each flow, as well as real customer examples of the emails that we've produced for our clients. You'll be able to get access to that and use it as inspiration or as a template for your brand. And if you implement everything I'm going to show you in this video here, you'll be able to automate up to 30% of your brand's revenue via these email flows. So let's dive right in. First part, all right, before we dive into it, if you want access to this doc, as well as all the email examples and email templates, the link is in the description below. Starting point, all right, so we really need to understand the flow funnel, how your emails work together, and what are the emails that we're going to be sending at each stage of the customer journey. We have this picture right here, so let me just zoom in. All right, so first, you have your opt-in. There needs to be a version for mobile and desktop because they need to be optimized separately. Welcome flow, obviously this is the entry point, and then they go into these emails here. And then depending on sort of where they drop off in the sales funnel, they get entered into one of these flows. And this is going to be tailored to whatever stage that they're at, because each stage they're going to have a different level of interest or different level of intent. For example, somebody who is abandoning their checkout obviously is going to be more interested than somebody who just came to your homepage on this site abandonment and didn't proceed any further. So the messaging needs to be different and the content needs to be different. Welcome flow, and then they need to go through all these stages on a typical e-commerce store before they become a customer over here where they place an order. So let's say they come to your website and they view a product, but they don't add it or add any products to their cart. They then go into this browse abandonment, all right? And you can only be entered into one of these flows at a time, besides the welcome flow. So you get the welcome flow, and then also, if you abandoned your checkout, you also get the abandoned checkout, all right? So that's an important point because a common question I get is, oh, they only need to be in one flow at a time. Wrong, okay? If they come to your website and they add different products to their cart and they begin checkout, you don't need to worry so much about sending 2 emails to them at the same time, all right? If anything, you need to be sending more stuff to convert them, all right? So welcome flow, site abandonment, browse abandonment, cart abandonment, checkout abandonment, and once they become a customer, then they go into the post-purchase, all right? So at this stage, they either go into path 1, which is for new customers, people who purchase once over all time, or return customer, all right? And the return customer path could actually be split into multiple segments, so second time customer, third time, fourth time, etc. But for the purposes of this demonstration here, I just separated it into new customers and return customers. All right, so effective email marketing requires understanding how these different flows interact throughout the customer journey. So each flow is triggered at a specific stage in your sales funnel, working together to create a comprehensive automated system. All right, so basically it's important to know how these email flows interact. All right, so site abandonment, this one is essentially triggered when visitors browse your site, but they don't view specific products. And the main thing that you want to focus on with this is just introducing your most popular products, your best sellers, all right? So sort of giving them an entry point into checking out the different products because that's the stage that they're at. They're interested in the brand, but they don't know anything about your products. And if you only have, one product, you're a one product store, then just focus on, the value of that one product. Browse abandonment, so this one's activated when customers view specific products but don't add them to the cart. So what you want to focus on at this stage is the product benefits and differentiators versus competitors. Because at this stage, they know what product they're looking for and they're sort of just shopping around between you and your competitors. All right, so the cart and checkout abandonment, which are set up as 2 different flows, but are triggered by 2 different triggers. So somebody who adds to their cart is going to be the cart flow, and somebody who initiates checkout is going to be the checkout flow. You can only be entered into one of these. There are some differences, but they're pretty similar, and addresses objections and offers incentives. And I'll go deeper into the overall strategy of each one of these a bit later in this video. Post-purchase, all right? So this one activates after they purchase to maximize the customer experience, drive repeat purchases via cross-sells, and encourage reviews, them giving you a review of the product and referring your brand and product to their friends. And the welcome flow sits separately as an entry point, and this one's triggered obviously when somebody joins your list through your opt-in forms. And together, these 5 flows create a comprehensive system that captures potential revenue at every stage of the customer journey. And each flow is tailored to specific customer behaviors and intent levels, using progressively stronger incentives as customers move through the flow without converting. So for instance, if somebody, just receives email 1, which is typically going to be a reminder, and they don't convert, then you give progressively stronger discounts until, let's say on email 4, it's like you have a pretty good offer here, and that's going to convert the people who didn't convert at a higher price, let's just say. All right, and then over here is basically just all of the swipe files from all of our clients, which again, you'll have access to if you get access to this doc. Link is in the description below. And let me give you a sort of quick preview. So it's divided by flow. So this is the welcome flow. You'll be able to see the content here. And then this one's the browse abandonment. So you'll be able to go through this. And then this one is the checkout abandonment. And what you'll notice is all of these follow the same structure because this is what converts the best, but obviously the branding, it looks different because it's tailored to the branding of each store. And then over here we have the post-purchase, which is comprised of a lot of sort of sub-flows, if you will. And again, you'll be able to take a look at all of these. So now we're gonna cover the welcome flow in depth. All right, the purpose of the welcome flow obviously is to convert new traffic, as well as prime the people who aren't ready to buy right away, prime them to become a customer later on in the future by giving them the info that they need. This one's typically going to be the highest revenue generating flow for most brands, making it extremely important to optimize, all right? And this welcome email 1 is typically going to be our most A/B tested email for each brand. And the primary purpose of this flow is to introduce new subscribers to your brand, differentiating your brand from competitors and presenting your unique selling points, as well as, making it super obvious that here's your offer, here's what you signed up for, here's the code to use it, and here's the call to action button, all right? So flow structure and timing. So email 1, you're going to want to send this immediately upon sign up, include the offer and code prominently. Email 2, send this 1 day after, focus on social proof and credibility. Email 3, send this 2 days after. This is when you're going to want to explain the brand/product details or brand story, etc. Focusing on, again, separating yourself from competitors. Email 4, send this 3 days after. And essentially what you want to do is just restate the welcome offer that they signed up for and create urgency around it. It's like, hey, here's your welcome offer, but it expires in 24 hours, just as a heads up. And this is going to convert the people who needed more time to sort of, think about it, digest it a little bit and learn more about the brand and product. And it's also giving them the urgency so that they don't procrastinate. It sort of breaks that inertia, if you will. So these go a bit into depth about the focus of each email, which is important. You need to be focusing on one main sort of content angle / goal for each email, which, I see a lot of brands, what they do is they try packing in a bunch of stuff to each email where it's like, oh, also here's our loyalty program. So that's wrong, and we've A/B tested this. Focus on one thing per email, and here are the content angles that typically perform the best. Critical components for each email is going to be the brand logo at the top for consistent recognition. They can recognize your brand as soon as they open the email. Hero image with the main message of the email. So this is going to be all the necessary components within the first scroll on mobile, because most people don't scroll down on mobile in their mail app. So you need to give them all the info that they need to convert within that first sort of screen or first scroll, however you want to call it. A clear offer with coupon code when applicable, prominent call to action buttons and supporting elements. And this could be social proof, risk reversals, buy now, pay later, and you can A/B test this. It's going to be different for each brand, which boosts the conversions the most. All right, the abandoned cart and checkout flow. All right, and the purpose of these is to obviously to recover lost sales. Without an optimized abandoned cart flow, without an optimized abandoned cart and checkout flows, you're losing approximately 70% of potential customers who add items to their cart, they don't complete their purchase. A properly implemented cart and checkout recovery system can recapture up to 20% of these lost sales on autopilot. All right, so here's how you implement it. So you're going to want to be setting up two separate but similar flows. It's going to be the abandoned checkout, which is triggered by the checkout started event, and the abandoned cart flow, which is triggered by the added to cart event. Email 1, this is going to be a reminder, and the optimal time delay here is going to be 30 minutes to 2 hours. I think on Klaviyo, the default is like 4 hours. We've never seen that to work the best. Typically, it's going to be 30 minutes, but sometimes it's up to 2 hours. You don't want to include a discount, just a helpful reminder about the items that they left behind. Include the dynamic product block showing their specific cart items. And the dynamic product block is going to be different for each of the flows. So one of them, it's going to be different depending on if it's the cart flow or checkout flow, as well as the CTA destination, which is going to be the /cart page for most brands on the cart flow and /checkout on the checkout flow. Email 2, this one is going to include a small incentive, and you're going to send this 24 hours after they triggered the event. Offer a small discount, so for example 10% off or free shipping. Promote your unique selling points and or include social proof like customer reviews to increase the conversion rates. Email 3, this one's going to include a larger incentive. This one you send 48 hours after they triggered the flow. So for instance, if they abandoned their cart on Tuesday, 2 days later, all right, so you send email 1 right away, 24 hours later, you send email 2, and then 48 hours later, you send email 3. All right, so this is 24 hours after email 2, if that makes sense. On email 3, you're going to want to increase the discount slightly. So for example, it could be 15% off, could even be 12% off. Just make it a bit bigger than the incentive you gave on email 2. And focus on the product benefits and what they're missing out on by not completing their purchase. Email 4, all right, so this one's going to be the final urgency. You're going to send this 72 hours after they abandoned their cart. So same discount as email 3 here, but with added urgency. So if you're doing 15% off, essentially you just follow up, hey, by the way, your 15% off is expiring in 24 hours, let's just say. That's going to create FOMO and break inertia and convert the people who are already convinced, or like, oh, I'm interested in this product, but I'll do it tomorrow. All right, so this one converts those people because it's like, all right, if you want this, you need to buy it within the next 24 hours or else you have to buy it at full price. Oh, so each email doesn't get sent to people who have already purchased in this flow. So for instance, if they convert on email 1 at full price, they get removed from the flow and they never see these higher discounts, etc. Critical components for each email. So engaging hero image and headline, although you have to A/B test it because for some brands, not including a hero image on these cart and checkout flows actually performs better than having a hero image. Dynamic product block showing the abandoned items in their cart. Clear CTA button linking directly to the cart or checkout page, depending on which flow we're talking about here. Social proof elements, so this would be reviews, testimonials, press mentions, etc. Offer details with applicable discount codes, all right? So that would be 10% off, use code this. All right, flow filters, ensure you filter for place order 0 times since starting this flow. That's going to remove people who, place an order, at any point within this flow. Also include has not been in this flow for 7 to 14 days to prevent sending emails to customers who have already purchased. The browse abandonment flow. So essentially what we're doing here is converting window shoppers. And the browse abandonment flow targets customers who viewed specific products but didn't add them to their cart. At this stage, the potential customers are comparison shopping between your brand and competitors. All right, so it's critical to differentiate yourself and highlight product benefits. So the actual content here is actually going to be pretty similar to the cart and checkout flows, but you want to make it different just so you hit them from different angles. So for instance, if they get into the browse abandonment flow and you convince them to keep shopping and they add products to their cart, then they go into the cart flow, and then they abandon their cart. All right, so this happens. You don't want to be sending them the same content on the cart flow as you are on the browse flow. And the browse flow is typically going to be more focused on the customer unique selling points, or the brand unique selling points rather, really differentiating yourself from competitors, all right? And you can get that info by checking your customer reviews. Why do these customers say that they like your product? If you sell products on Amazon, check out your 5-star reviews. It's like, all right, I like this because, of the cost, or I like it because it's high quality ingredients, let's just say. Focus on that, okay? And then also look at the customer reviews of your competitors, all right? Look at their 1-star reviews. Why do your customers not like their product, all right? And then focus on solving that. That's gonna be the base of a lot of the content you're gonna include in this flow, and that's what resonates the best, typically. So 4 emails in this sequence, 30 minutes initial timing from the time that they, abandon your site after browsing different products is the optimal delay before sending the first browse abandonment email. 24 hours between emails, right? So the recommended spacing between subsequent emails in the sequence. And again, the content here and the incentive strategy is going to be similar to the cart flow. So email 1, no discount. Email 2, small discount. Email 3, larger discount. Email 4, same discount with urgency. Flow setup requirements, so that it's going to be triggered by the viewed product event. Sometimes this is going to require, proper tracking implementation, although within Klaviyo it's pretty easy to set up. You just click a couple buttons in the settings. Critical flow filters, so place order 0 times since starting this flow, checkout started 0 times since starting this flow, added to cart 0 times since starting this flow, and has not been in this flow in 14 days. All right, so essentially what it means is if they progress onto the next stage of the customer life cycle by adding a product to their cart, placing an order, etc., it removes them from this flow. Also, this last one prevents them from receiving the email within 2 weeks if they've already gone through it. All right, next is the post-purchase flow. All right, and the purpose of this one is to maximize customer lifetime value, maximize the return customer rate, etc. And this one's crucial for converting first-time customers into repeat customers, maximizing LTV, as I said. This flow should be segmented by the number of times they purchased to deliver the most relevant content to each customer type. All right, so for example, you have new customers, people who've purchased once over all time, and you have your repeat customers. All right, so these are people who are on their second or more purchase. So 3rd, 4th, etc. So on new customers, main thing you're going to want to focus on here is hyping up their purchase decision, providing how to use the product info, and upsells and cross-sells. All right, so some examples here that we typically include is going to be the personal thank you note, which we use plain text for authenticity so it doesn't come off as some marketing email. It's like the idea is that it's sent directly from a team member or the founder in plain text format. Product usage instructions or tips. All right, so here's how to use the product, here's what you can expect when you receive the product, etc. Complimentary product recommendations. And then also one thing that I didn't list here is just hyping them up for their purchase, just because when people buy stuff, they sort of second guess themselves, like, oh, what if it doesn't actually arrive? What if it's a scam? We need to sort of calm them down a little bit and also get them hyped up by sharing customer reviews. It's like, oh, here's what Anna did when she received the product. Here was her before situation, here's her after situation, but have it in customer review format of her saying that. SMS list promo with incentive. This one, you're basically getting them to opt into your SMS list. Obviously, you want to exclude anybody who's already on the SMS list. Review request, so after they've received the product and had a few days to try it out and form their decision. And referral program intro. Basically, just let them know about your referral program, and you don't need to have some, formal referral program or separate app. Like you could even just say, hey, by the way, if you introduce your friend to the product, you both get 15% off on your next order, let's just say. So return customers, all right? So people on their second or more purchase, focus on deepening the relationship and incorporating them into your loyalty ecosystem if you have one. So this one's a VIP customer appreciation email. Again, this one's gonna be plain text. If they're on their second purchase, and let's say you have a VIP flow with exclusive offers on your third purchase, let them know about that on email number 2. That's gonna get them hyped up to, become a VIP customer. VIP offers, so this is basically the VIP flow. You're just giving them exclusive offers that normal customers aren't privy to. Exclusive access to new products. So you could just let them know, hey, by the way, you're gonna get exclusive access. And how you fulfill on that is just whenever you're about to launch a new product or launch a site-wide sale, you just send an early access email to your VIP VIP segment. Loyalty program enrollment incentive. All right, so if you have a loyalty program, just, let them know about that here. Give them the link to, create an account and sign up and start collecting points, etc. Referral program offer. So again, this is referral again. And yeah, all right, by the way, just as a reminder, if you introduce one of your friends to our product and they successfully sign up, you both get 15% off, for example, on your next order. And then review request. All right, so this is the typical post-purchase flow. And then this one is for if you sell consumable products. So cosmetics, supplements, you're gonna need a replenishment reminder flow, which you'd be surprised a lot of these consumable brands don't even have this. Essentially what they are is just reminding the customer to, re-up on their previous order after the typical amount of time that it takes for them to consume it. So for instance, if they bought protein powder from you and they bought a 1-month pack, you might send this after 30 or 35 days. It's like, hey, are you running low on your, X product? Maybe it's time for a re-up. All right. This is divided into 4 emails, and here are how each one performs sales-wise relative to each other. Number 1 is going to be the initial reminder. Number 2 is going to be, running low, which basically is a scarcity angle. Number 3 is going to be the offer email. Number 4 is going to be the last chance. And typically, the scarcity is going to work the best. And you don't even need to give an offer here. All right. So this one is typically, hey, by the way, the product that you purchased last time, it's running low. We don't know when it's going to be back in stock. So if you're thinking of buying it, now's the time. And then email 3, if they didn't purchase on the first 2 emails, this is where you give them an offer. It's like, hey, by the way, if you're waiting to, stock up on this item, we're actually running a 10% off sale for a few days. Buy it now. And then last chance is, by the way, your offer is expiring in 24 hours. So this is the best structure that we found for the replenishment flow. All right, the site abandonment flow. So basically capturing early stage interest. And this flow is going to target visitors who browse your website without viewing specific products. So they come to your website, they go to the homepage, and they don't look at any products, and then they leave never to return. Till you hit them with this email to sort of re-engage their interest and sort of send them down one of your product paths, if you will. These potential customers show interest in your brand but haven't engaged deeply with your product's catalog yet. This flow serves as an introduction to your best products and brand unique selling points. Basically gives them all the intro info that they need that's going to resonate with the people who are your ideal customers. Key strategy elements, and here's an example from 3 of the brands that we work with, their site abandonment flow. Key strategy elements, so use a helpful tone like an in-store sales assistant or a shop assistant, where it's like, hey, could I help you with anything? And here's our best-selling products type thing. Introduce your most popular products or collections. Highlight key brand differentiators and values. And for single product brands, focus on education and unique selling points and really highlighting the benefits of the one product that you sell in depth, what problems are you solving, etc. And there's only 1 email in this flow, and you can send it after 30 minutes to an hour. Typically is going to be the sweet spot for the time delay after they abandon the website. And here's the technical setup. So it's triggered by the active on-site event. Flow filters is going to be place order 0 times since starting this flow, checkout started 0 times since starting this flow, as well as added to cart and viewed product both 0 times since starting this flow, and has not been in this flow for 28 days. So meaning they received the email and they don't receive it for another 28 days, all right? So the site abandonment flow captures interest at the earliest stage of the customer journey. While it typically has lower conversion rates than other flows, it's valuable for introducing your brand to potential customers who might otherwise never engage further. All right, so here's the implementation plan. Really just putting it all together and getting your flows up and running in a step-by-step format. So now that you understand the 5 critical Klaviyo flows, it's time to implement them for your e-commerce store. So follow this step-by-step action plan to get your automated email system generating revenue within days. So step 1 is going to be set up the welcome flow. Obviously, this is the most important. This is the highest revenue generator. So create 4 emails following the template structure, adapting copy and design to match your brand voice and aesthetic. Connect them to your sign-up forms. Again, if you want examples of all these flows, link is in the description to this doc. You'll be able to check out the winning emails that we've produced for our clients. Step 2, Implement the cart and checkout flows. Verify your added to cart and checkout started metrics are firing correctly. Build both flows with 4 emails each using the escalating discount strategy and dynamic product blocks. Again, there's 2 separate dynamic product blocks, so you can't just copy it or duplicate it onto the other one. So keep that in mind. Create browse abandonment flow. So confirm that your viewed product metric works correctly and develop 4 emails highlighting the benefits of the products that they viewed with the appropriate incentive structure and timing. And then next, you're going to want to develop your post-purchase flow. All right, so segment by purchase count, how many times they've purchased. All right, so separate it by first-time customers versus repeat customers. Create appropriate email sequences for each segment based on the content that we went over earlier in this video. Add replenishment emails if you're selling consumable products. We typically keep this in a separate flow for organizational purposes. That's the replenishment flow, but still it's technically post-purchase, okay? And finally, build the site amendment flow. So verify that your active on site metric is working. Develop 1 email highlighting your best sellers, unique selling points, and optionally, if you want, you can add an offer to convert site browsers. And then finally, once all this is set up, you're gonna need to monitor that everything's working correctly and then optimize it over time. So after implementing all 5 flows, monitor performance weekly for the first month. Look at key metrics like open rates, click rates, conversion rates for each email. Test different subject lines, content approaches, and offer structures to optimize performance over time. And although I did give you a lot of the optimizations built into each flow, there is going to be some optimization that's required for each brand just because each brand is somewhat unique. So yeah, just follow this, optimize them over time to increase your conversion rates. And with these 5 flows properly implemented, you can expect to automate an additional 30% of your total e-commerce revenue. This creates a reliable baseline of sales that occurs automatically, freeing you up to focus on acquisition and other growth initiatives while these flows, act as your personal automated salesman working in the background to convert new sales for you while you sleep. So yeah, thanks so much for watching this video here. If you want to learn more about, some of these flows in more depth, you can check out my in-depth step-by-step tutorials to those here.